Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Bloody Jacob here to bring you my second video of the day. I know I did a video earlier on Season 1 of Vikings, but I just watched the first episode of Season 2 and Brothers War, and I just wanted to give my quick thoughts on that. I mean, I'm not going to make this into a big 15-minute, 20-minute video, but I thought what happened in this episode was worthy of talking about specifically, instead of doing what I was originally planning on, which was just to watch all of Season 2 and do another general video on it, which I still plan on doing, but I wanted to make sure I talked about what happened here specifically. This episode starts off with a battle, and that's something else I wish I would have emphasized more in my Season 1 review, is that this show, their battles and the fight scenes in this are fantastic. I mean, from that Earl Haraldson battle or fight to like the more larger scale battles when they're trying to take over, excuse the voice crack, are all just so well done. They're shot pretty well for the most part, except this one, some of the cuts are a little bit fast in this, but for the most part, the battles feel like a movie almost. They feel like really quality, and it's really, really nice like the rest of the show. And so we start out with that battle with Rollo being on Borg's side, and of course Ragnar and Horik, and it's a great battle scene with Rollo killing one of Ragnar's members, and when it comes time for Rollo to stand up against Ragnar for them to finally go one-on-one, Rollo actually can't bring himself to fight his own brother when it comes down to it. So they basically, Borg is still refusing to agree to any kind of deal with Horik, but Ragnar sort of gives a bit of a speech, and he sort of persuades Borg and Horik to work out their differences, or at least put each other at a peace for a while, and they plan on going further out west together. So that's a pretty good scene, but Rollo is brought back to their home as a traitor, which he obviously kind of is, so but the lawmaker decides to let him live. He says it's the word of the gods. If the gods want him to die, he would have died in battle, supposedly, but everyone else just thinks Rollo deserves death, which he does in a way. And I'm going to jump around a little bit because, as I said, I'm not going to make this into one of my longer review videos, but I do like Rollo's sort of apology to Ragnar later in the episode. Him basically honestly saying that, yeah, I wanted to step out of your shadow. I felt like I've been in your shadow for so long. But when I stepped out of my shadow, your shadow, there was no sunlight. There was no sunlight beyond that. So he kind of realized it wasn't really worth it to go against Ragnar. There was really nothing for him after that. Not what he had hoped for, not the satisfaction or the happiness or the freedom he had hoped for by stepping out of Ragnar's shadow. He realized it wasn't really worth it. So I believe him, but now he's talking to Siggy, saying there's no place for him there since everyone pretty much wants him dead. But, Siggy's sort of persuading him to stay by saying, oh, the gods kept you here for a reason. This is your second chance, a chance for redemption and things like that. So we'll see where that goes. Like I said, I just watched one episode of Season 2, so I don't know what happens in the rest of the season yet. But that should be kind of interesting going forward. And but the main part of this episode, the main reason why I wanted to do a video specifically about this episode is, of course, what was going on with Ragnar, Lagertha, and Aslog. I might be mispronouncing her name, but the princess Ragnar got pregnant. It's interesting seeing how that was going to work, because Ragnar sort of sits between both of them, so it's really, really awkward. And, of course, Lagertha is pretty heartbroken pretty much that he had sex with another woman. He tries to tell her he doesn't love her. It's just like sort of a one-time heat of the moment type of thing. But, he promises not to do it again, but later on at one of the dinners they have, Ragnar proposes, "Oh yeah, it's been done before. It's actually quite common for a man of these lands to have, 2 wives or 2 women." And Aslog agrees with him, of course, the princess, and Gertha's not really too eager to go down that road either. And of course, their son's still pretty upset about it all. And that was another interesting scene in this episode. Ragnar did find out about his daughter's death at the end of last season, to the sickness. And that was really emotional, man. I mean, you could get a little bit teary-eyed to it, I think. Ragnar sitting alone on the shore, sort of saying his farewell to his daughter. Like basically saying how much he admired her energy and the life she brought to others, and what life it would have brought when she had her sons. It would have been, amazing to him and beautiful. And Travis Fimmel in the scene was just phenomenal. I might be mispronouncing your name, man, but he did phenomenal work as Ragnar, as he has for the entire series so far. Saying his own personal farewell to his daughter, even though he wasn't there when she had passed. But yeah, it was really sad, and I really felt for Ragnar. And it really shows that, yes, he is really into the idea of having more sons, for the glory and the heir to the throne, or whatever you want to say, just for his legacy to continue. But this scene right here proves that, he did deeply care about his daughter. And, it's not anything he puts under his sons, really. Even though he says, yes, men are thought to love their sons more, but he basically says no, he doesn't. They're at least equal, pretty much, or he loved his daughter just as much, if not more, than his son. So it's really a beautiful and very sad scene. So that was one of the best acting scenes in the series by far. One of the... I'll get to that later. Get to more of that later. But yeah, that was really nice. And there's also scene the next day when Lagertha decides to pack up and leave, because she knows it's probably not going to work there, especially with her and Aslog and things like that. And with Ragnar promising that he couldn't just send Aslog away, even though he doesn't love her, because he feels that he needs to take care of his son, no matter which woman it's from. Because, their unborn son had died in the previous season, and he wasn't going to allow that kind of thing to happen again, or he'd at least be there for him through whatever happens. And with that, Lagertha decided to leave the next morning, and it was a really sad goodbye, because... Give me a second, guys, while I let my cat out. Have patience. Admire my sweatpants. But anyway, yeah, it's just really sort of heartbreaking to see it all unfold. And Floki was severely injured in battle by Rollo, by the way, but he managed to survive. This randomly came out of nowhere, but I just kind of remembered that. Yeah, Bjorn, their son. He had to choose between, staying with his father or going with his mother. At first he chose to stay with Ragnar, but he had later changed his mind and decided to go with Lagertha. Which I don't really blame him for. I don't think... Ragnar was upset by it, but I don't think he really... I think he understood why. But Ragnar made one last plea to Lagertha to stay, but, she decided to keep on going, and... Ragnar's just really heartbroken, pretty much, and he's just really ashamed of what he had done, and basically what he had done to tear apart his family, basically. So, it was a really sad goodbye. It was really, really, really good acting, though. Wow, it's probably the best acting since episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Season 1. Probably the most emotional acting of the series so far was in this episode, with Ragnar's farewell to his daughter, as well as Lagertha leaving and Ragnar trying to stop her. It's It's probably the best acting of the series so far, really. So it's really well done, and it ends with Ragnar coming back to Islog and, putting his hand on her stomach, for his unborn child. But you can tell he's sort of withdrawn from it all, and he's sort of wishing that never happened whatsoever. So yeah, I just wanted to give my thoughts on that. Like I said, I didn't go through every part of the episode, but I got through what made this episode so good, and it was an incredible episode, really. And yeah, this episode proves that I'll say it now, I put Vikings above Black Sails, personally. I think it's a better quality show and more well-written and more... it's easier to invest in characters in this show, I think. But you can still enjoy Black Sails for what it does, too. It's still a pretty fun show, but I do believe Vikings is of higher quality. So yeah, I could do a whole video talking about a comparison between them, but I also am liking Vikings more than certain parts of Game of Thrones as well, minus Tyrion. But yeah, we could do a whole video comparing those shows. But yeah, this is a great episode overall, and I really look forward to what else happens in Season 2. I will be doing a video talking about Season 2 as a whole once I finish it, which should be by early next week or this weekend. By next week at latest, most likely. And you can expect a Christmas haul video from me on Thursday, as well as a Christmas money video next week again. So yeah, great episode. Vikings is a great show. I can't wait to see what else they did in Season 2, and I can't wait to see where we're going to be heading for Season 3 in February. So yeah, I'll catch you guys next time, and peace. Peace. Voice crack galore.